3 days after his comeback, 1 week before the Masters, and 50 yards from a man who had pulled over to turn into a driveway. On Friday afternoon, March 27th, Tiger Woods, 50 years old, 15 major championships, 82 PGA Tour wins, rolled his Land Rover onto its driver's side on a 2-lane road in Jupiter Island, Florida. He crawled out through the passenger window. He appeared lethargic. He blew triple zeros on a breathalyzer, and then he refused the urine test. What happened next tells you everything about where Tiger Woods is right now and about how much further he still has to fall before the people around him and the system that has protected him finally intervene. If you are new to the Mitchell Report, subscribe now, because this story goes deeper than a mugshot and a DUI charge. This is about a man destroying himself in slow motion while the world applauds the comeback. Let's start with exactly what happened, because the facts of this crash are more alarming than most of the coverage has let on. Just before 2 p.m. on Friday, March 27th, a truck pulling a small pressure cleaning trailer was traveling northbound on South Beach Road in Jupiter Island when it began to slow down and turn into a driveway. The driver looked in his mirror and saw a dark Land Rover, Tiger Woods' vehicle, approaching from behind at a high rate of speed. The driver tried to edge off the side of the road, but it is a small 2-lane road with no shoulder. The Land Rover overtook him at the last minute, swerved to avoid a full collision, clipped the back end of the trailer, and rolled onto its driver's side door. Sheriff John Budenzik of Martin County made a point at the press conference that deserves to be heard clearly. Had there been somebody moving in the opposite direction, we would not be having a conversation saying there was no injuries. This could have been a lot worse. A lot worse. Those words should not be buried in the 15th paragraph of a sports update. A pressure washing worker was minding his own business, turning into a driveway, and Tiger Woods came barreling up behind him at a speed so high the sheriff could not or would not give a number at the press conference. Woods was described as appearing lethargic at the scene. He crawled out of the passenger window. He told responding officers about his injuries and surgeries. He took a breathalyzer, zeros across the board, no alcohol. And then, when investigators asked him to submit to a urinalysis to determine what else might have been in his system, he refused. He wanted no part of it, according to the sheriff. He was charged with DUI with property damage and refusal to submit to a lawful test. Both charges are misdemeanors under Florida law. He was held for 8 hours, as required by statute, following a DUI arrest, and released on bail just before midnight. 3 days earlier, he had made his return to competitive golf, participating in the TGL Indoor Golf League Finals, where his Jupiter Links Golf Club lost to the Los Angeles Golf Club. It was his first competitive appearance since the 2024 Open Championship. 3 days. He made his comeback 3 days before rolling his car on a public road near a man who could easily have died. You cannot understand what happened Friday without understanding the history that led to it, because this is not a first offense, a bad night, or an isolated lapse in judgment. This is a pattern that spans 17 years and has never been interrupted by consequences serious enough to change it. November 27th, 2009. Tiger Woods crashed his SUV into a fire hydrant and a tree just outside his driveway in Windermere, Florida, in the early hours of the morning. His then-wife, Ellen Nordegren, had to use a golf club to smash the back windows of the vehicle to get to him. He was treated for minor injuries and released. No criminal charges related to the collision were filed. What came after that crash was the collapse of his personal life, the affairs, the divorce, the public humiliation, but no conviction, no real accountability, no intervention that stuck. May 29, 2017. Woods was found asleep behind the wheel of his car, parked awkwardly in a traffic lane in Jupiter, Florida, engine running. He appeared disoriented and incoherent. Toxicology reports showed 5 substances in his system: Vicodin, Dilaudid, Xanax, Ambien, and THC. 5 substances at the same time, 2 opioids, an anti-anxiety benzodiazepine, a sleep medication, and marijuana, a combination that medical professionals describe as the signature cocktail of a drug overdose waiting to happen. He pled guilty to reckless driving, got a year of probation, completed a DUI first offender program, and went back to winning the Masters in 2019. February 23, 2021, Woods was driving in Rolling Hills Estates, California, when his SUV went downhill, traveling several hundred feet, flipping multiple times before coming to rest on a hillside. He was driving between 84 and 87 miles per hour in a 45 mile per hour zone. He was trapped in the vehicle. First responders had to pry open the windshield to pull him out. He suffered massive fractures to his right leg. He told Golf Digest that his rehabilitation involved 3 months in a hospital-type bed in his home. At one point, the possibility of amputation was discussed by his medical team. He described himself as lucky to be alive. No charges were filed in 21. The sheriff at the time said there was no evidence of impairment. He was traveling at almost twice the speed limit on a residential road when he nearly lost his leg, and no one was charged with anything. Now it is 2026. He is 50. He has had 7 surgeries, and he was behind the wheel again on a Friday afternoon, barreling down a 2-lane road in Jupiter Island at a speed that made a truck driver fear for his life. The question that everyone is asking, and that nobody in Tiger Woods' orbit has been willing to answer publicly, is why he refuses to hire a driver. People magazine, citing an exclusive source, reported that Tiger Woods has a deeply personal reason for refusing to hire a personal driver. According to those close to him, it comes down to privacy. Woods has built his entire life around controlling what the outside world sees, and having a personal driver means having a witness to every private moment, every destination, every state he is in when he gets in the car. A source close to Woods told People that he despises public scrutiny and that he enjoys leading a private life away from the public eye. The same source noted that he is enabled by people making money off of his talent and reputation, people who have a financial interest in keeping him functional and available, not in confronting the behavior that led him to a Florida jail on a Friday afternoon. Privacy. That is the word used to explain why one of the wealthiest athletes on the planet, a man estimated to be worth over $1 billion, keeps putting himself and innocent people in danger rather than paying someone to drive him. The logic collapses under the weight of what it has already cost him. In 2021, his leg nearly came off his body. In 2017, he was found unconscious in a running vehicle on a public road. In 2009, his marriage ended and his reputation never fully recovered. And on Friday, a pressure washing worker in Jupiter Island pulled over and prayed he wasn't about to die. Defense attorney Troy Slayton, a certified standardized field sobriety test instructor, offered the legal analysis of the refusal. Under Florida law, refusing a urinalysis after a 2017 first refusal would constitute a second offense. But without the urine test, there is no toxicological proof of what was in his system. The field sobriety tests were administered and he failed them. But a Florida attorney told Yahoo Sports that the DUI charge may be difficult to prove in court without chemical evidence of an actual controlled substance. So the refusal may have been legally strategic. He knew enough about the law and had enough experience in these situations to understand that refusing the test creates a weaker case for prosecutors, even as it creates a misdemeanor charge for the refusal itself. That is not the behavior of a man who does not understand what he is doing. That is the behavior of a man who has been through this system before and learned how to minimize his legal exposure while maximizing his ability to walk away. On Thursday, the day before the crash, President Donald Trump told Fox News that Tiger Woods would not be playing in the Masters. "I love Tiger, but he won't be there," Trump said. Well, he'll be there, but he won't be playing in it. The following day, when told about the accident and the arrest, Trump said, "I feel so badly. He's got some difficulty. There was an accident, and that's all I know. Very close friend of mine. He's an amazing person, amazing man, but some difficulty. A man was nearly killed on a public road. A 50-year-old with a documented history of impaired driving rolled his vehicle in a 30-mile-per-hour zone, refused a drug test, and was booked into the Martin County Jail, and the response from the White House was some difficulty. This is not a political observation. It is a cultural one. Tiger Woods has received a level of institutional softness that no ordinary American driving under the influence at a high rate of speed on a residential road would ever receive. The 2021 crash, 87 miles per hour in a 45 zone, a vehicle that flipped multiple times, a leg held together by surgical rods, produced 0 charges, not reckless driving, not public endangerment, nothing. His TGL teammate Justin Thomas called the arrest very disturbing when asked about it on Fox News. "It's just obviously disappointing and very sad," Thomas said. You hate to see that, especially for someone that you know that you care about and you want to see succeed. Disturbing, disappointing, sad. Those are the words used for someone struggling with something difficult. They are also the words used when the people around a person are not yet willing to say the harder word, enabling. The women in Tiger Woods' life have now been placed in an impossible position, and the way they have each responded tells you something about what is actually happening inside that circle. Vanessa Trump, the ex-wife of Donald Trump Jr., and the woman Tiger Woods has been dating for approximately a year, was not with him on Friday. She was at the Miami Open tennis tournament at the same time the crash occurred, photographed with her daughter Kai and tennis players including world number 1 Aryna Sabalenka. She posted on Instagram after the arrest, but said nothing about what had happened. The photos were of Kai's outing, nothing else. But behind closed doors, according to multiple sources, she was not silent. A source told Hola that Vanessa confronted Woods directly after the arrest. This is a concerned girlfriend expressing boundaries and saying that he's got to get his together. Like right now, the source said. He's very apologetic, from what I've heard. He wants to fix this. He's embarrassed. He's mortified at all this, and this is really humiliating for it to happen again. And Vanessa is embarrassed too. All her friends are like, girl, what the hell? The source also told the outlet to expect Woods to enter treatment soon. A separate source told TMZ that Vanessa is not only disappointed, but a little bit pissed. Another source, cited by the Daily Mail, said he has to get things under control or she's not going to stick around. Then there is Kristen Smith, his former girlfriend, who dated Woods from 2016 to 2017, a relationship that ended around the time of his first DUI arrest. She spoke out publicly this week, releasing a personal statement about untrue narratives and asking for privacy after what she described as traumatic experiences connected to his headlines. According to reporting from Hello magazine, Kristen described the news as triggering, a word that suggests the experiences she had during that relationship and whatever followed it left marks that are still present. She did not elaborate, but the word triggering, chosen carefully and deliberately by a woman who has stayed publicly quiet through years of Tiger Woods headlines, says something about what the people who have been close to him have witnessed and are still carrying. The medical dimension of this case is not peripheral, it is central, and it requires the same level of honesty that the legal and cultural dimensions demand. Tiger Woods has had 7 surgeries. His right leg was held together by rods after the 2021 crash. He ruptured his Achilles tendon in March 2025 and missed the entire season. He had a lumbar disc replacement, his 7th back surgery, in October 2025. 3 days before the crash, he played in the TGL finals and told reporters afterward, "This body doesn't recover like it did when I was 24 or 25. Doesn't mean I'm not trying. I've been trying for a while. I've had a couple of bad injuries here in the past year." A man who has had that level of surgical intervention is, by medical definition, a long-term patient with chronic pain. Long-term patients with chronic pain are statistically among the highest risk populations for opioid dependency. The 2017 toxicology report Vicodin, Dilaudid, Xanax, Ambien, THC simultaneously was not the profile of a one-time recreational user. It was the profile of someone whose relationship with prescription medication had moved past therapeutic into something else entirely. Legal and medical experts reviewing the current case have noted that Tiger's extensive surgical history and the documented presence of prescribed medications could potentially complicate the DUI prosecution, since the question of whether any medication in his system was taken as prescribed versus in quantities or combinations that would constitute impairment would need to be litigated carefully. That is the defense his lawyers will build, and it may work legally, but it does not address the underlying reality that the Martin County Sheriff articulated plainly. The man appeared lethargic, failed roadside sobriety tests, and had been driving at a speed that endangered the life of a worker on a public road. People close to Woods, speaking to Yahoo Sports, put it with a directness that his inner circle has rarely demonstrated publicly. But Tiger has yet to look in the mirror and say, "You're 50 years old and need to act like it." 50 years old, 7 surgeries, a chronic pain condition that has followed him for over a decade, a pattern of impaired driving that has produced 3 major incidents and 2 arrests across 17 years, and a cultural machine, sponsors, managers, fans, media, that has consistently found a way to frame each incident as a chapter in an ongoing comeback narrative rather than what it actually is. A man in serious trouble who has not yet received the level of intervention his situation requires. The Masters begins April 9th, 9 days from now. Before the crash, the question surrounding Tiger Woods was whether his recovering body could handle 4 rounds at Augusta. Trump had already told Fox News the answer was no. Woods had not committed either way. After the crash, that conversation has changed entirely. The question is no longer whether he can physically compete at Augusta. The question is whether he should be allowed to, whether any sponsor or institution should platform a man who rolled his car on a public road 4 days earlier while exhibiting signs of impairment. The Palm Beach Post D'Angelo put it directly in a column this week: forget the Masters, forget golf. Tiger Woods needs help. That is not a cruel column. It is a compassionate one. Because what the enablers in Tiger Woods' orbit have consistently failed to understand, the sponsors profiting from his brand, the colleagues who call it disappointing without pushing further, the institutions that have treated each crash as an isolated incident rather than a pattern, is that continuing to focus on his golf game instead of his well-being is not kindness. It is the opposite. A source close to Woods told People he is enabled by people making money off of his talent and reputation. That sentence is the diagnosis. Everything else, the lethargic appearance, the refused urinalysis, the rolled vehicle, the pressure-washing worker who pulled over and prayed, is the symptom. Tiger Woods built something extraordinary: 15 majors, 82 tour wins, a record tied only by Sam Snead, a global footprint in golf that will outlast the sport's current generation. He came back from the 2021 crash in ways that defied medical expectation. He walked into Augusta in 2022 with a leg full of surgical rods and made the cut. None of that cancels out what happened on Friday. None of it excuses the pressure-washing worker who had to pull over on a 2-lane road and pray the man barreling toward him was going to miss. None of it answers the question of what was in Tiger Woods' system when he got behind the wheel of a Land Rover at 2 p.m. on a Friday in Jupiter Island. Sources close to the situation are now saying to expect him to enter treatment soon. That would be the right step, not because it would help his legal case, though it might. Not because it would rehabilitate his public image, though it would, but because a 50-year-old man in chronic pain with a history of substance involvement reaching back to at least 2009 has been in trouble for a long time and has not yet fully faced it. Here is where everything stands as of Tuesday, March 31st, 2026. Tiger Woods faces 2 misdemeanor charges: DUI with property damage and refusal to submit to a lawful test. He was released on bail just before midnight on Friday. No court date has been set as of this reporting. Because he refused the urine test, prosecutors face a significant challenge proving the DUI charge in court. A Florida defense attorney told Yahoo Sports that without chemical evidence of a controlled substance, it may be difficult to establish impairment under the legal definition required for conviction. Sources say Vanessa Trump confronted him directly and has made her expectations clear. Treatment is reportedly being discussed. Ex-girlfriend Kristen Smith has described the news as traumatic and triggering and has asked the public for privacy. His inner circle, according to multiple sources, is deeply concerned and for the first time in a long time is saying so to journalists rather than managing the narrative privately. The Masters is 9 days away. Tiger Woods has not said whether he will play. His lawyers have not commented. His team has issued no statement, and somewhere on South Beach Road in Jupiter Island, Florida, there is a pressure-washing worker who went to work on a Friday, started to turn into a driveway, looked in his mirror, and saw what was coming. He got lucky. The next person might not. If you found this video valuable, if it gave you something beyond the mugshot and the headline, share it right now. Leave a like, and if you are not yet subscribed to The Mitchell Report, this is the moment. Tiger Woods is not just a golf story. He is a story about fame, pain, power, and the difference between being treated the way the law was written and being treated the way it is applied to the people the system decides to protect. I am Michelle. This is The Michelle Report. Thank you for watching.